Welcome and all American Cartel members. In case you didn't know, this is familia. Okay, familia in Espanol. I've heard, let's say, that the people in China, they outnumber us and this and that, and their technology. Let me tell you a thing or two about us. USMCA now has bodies. Canada and Mexico under the United States banner is official with the USMCA, make no mistake. Now, I wanted to tell you guys something that not many people know, but Donald Trump is a massive troll, okay? You remember a while back when he tweeted or twittered or twatted or whatever they call it, how he was gonna buy Greenland. That was him trolling. He was figuring pretty much we already own Mexico, we already own USA by proxy, or Canada by proxy, or whatever you want to call it. Greenland, might as well consider them part of the USA. It's the only little continent. What are they gonna do? We really walked up in that bitch with tanks and guns of glory. Not a damn thing. Nobody would step in either. Let me tell you something. If Israel can bomb the shit out of the Palestinians and Palestine or whoever those people are down there that has Hezbollah can do this and that, and Iran can fucking run train on our embassy over there, and all this other stuff going on in Mexico, blah 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 blah. It's time for the United States to start throwing our weight around, if you ask me. Donald Trump is just the man for that job. Trump 2020, don't ever get it twisted. We are the best. We are the best music. Just like my man would say, everybody from the USA is the best. It doesn't matter. The only thing I fear is a US citizen, let me tell you. Even a fucking soy boy Democrat. Because the power of the United States military and government backs that soy boy, and I do too, all of his stupid soy boy rights, just like he should be backing all of my gun rights and all of the Second Amendment rights and whatnot. All I know is you should vote for Trump 2020 if you're a Democrat. Doesn't matter if you're an independent or a liberal, or Trump's here to save the free fucking world. And you're part of the Team USA, believe it or not. I don't know why you would be against anything that was here to promote you. You're rooting for the wrong team. You're on the winning ship. You're on the winning side. You're pretty much like, it's the equivalent of believing in God and Satan and being a Satanist. How stupid is that? You might as well be a fucking tard if you're gonna be a Satanist. Know that there's a God out there, though, the Alpha, the Omega, the undeniable truth, the Creator, the whatever you want to call it. To God be the
Could the
glory.
U.S. pull
Everybody
all
please
its forces home and hold out against a foreign invader? Despite what fiction like Red Dawn would have you believe, the United States was never in any danger of an invasion by the Soviet Union, mostly because the Russian people were about as interested in invading the U.S. as Americans were in invading the Soviet Union. Of course, that didn't stop politicians and military officials on both sides using the fear of an evil capitalist or communist invasion from ballooning defense budgets. The saddest fact of the Cold War just might be that despite all the preparations to defend from an invasion by both sides, neither NATO nor the Soviet bloc ever had a single war plan drawn up for an actual preemptive invasion of the other's territory. But another major reason why the US was never under any threat of an invasion is due to its unique place in the world geography. In order for an enemy to get to America, first it must cross two massive oceans, and this geographic fact makes the United States the single most secure nation on Earth. Even today, moving troops and equipment across the oceans is a massive undertaking in terms of both logistics and cost, and very few nations are even capable of attempting the feat. But let's say that the two leading peer competitors to the US decided to join forces and team up against the United States. With all troops returned home from overseas, could the US defend itself against a double-sided assault against it by China and Russia? First, the two-power alliance would have to decide on where to strike. For an invasion to be successful, both nations would have to land troops as quickly as possible, and that would require the use of a working seaport. These ports would require good rail and road infrastructure, and must have deep-water anchorages so that large cargo ships could dock and disgorge troops and heavy equipment. The need to take and hold major seaports is critical, as aside from a few token forces with a small number of fire support platforms, amphibious landings alone wouldn't be able to deliver firepower fast enough to secure a beachhead. In Normandy during World War II, the success of the landings was largely down to a brilliant deception played out by the Allies, which saw the Nazis concentrate their forces at the wrong landing site. And even when the real landings happened 100 miles away, Nazi commanders were so fooled by Allied intelligence that they ordered their forces to hold their positions, believing that the real assault was coming their way any day. The ruse, combined with some whopping tactical blunders by Hitler, allowed the Allies to quickly build a makeshift port facility which let Allied armor and artillery disembark. Had Hitler allowed his commanders to commit panzer reinforcements to the landings, Normandy would have likely ended as a complete catastrophe for the Allies. By the time he cleared reserve panzer units for the assault on the beachheads, Allied logistical units had already disembarked enough tanks to repel the assault. In an invasion of the US homeland, such a ruse would be impossible to pull off. Long-range and satellite surveillance assets would see an invasion fleet days before it made landfall, and its target would be clearly known to the American defenders. Therefore, China and Russia would have to act quickly and decisively, taking major seaports and holding them long enough to disembark a sizable expeditionary force able to repel American counterassaults. For China, the only good options for unloading main battle tanks and mechanized artillery would be the ports in LA, Long Beach, Oakland, Tacoma, and Seattle. The LA Long Beach complex would be especially attractive as it's one of the world's largest ports and would allow Chinese forces to disembark very quickly. Unfortunately, these port facilities are also very close to several American air and naval bases, making them easily defended. The Seattle and Tacoma ports, however, are far more vulnerable, as only 5 major American bases are near these facilities. Landing in Washington, though, would mean Chinese forces would have to fight south and into California through easily defended and very mountainous terrain, a tactical nightmare for any Chinese commander. Russian invaders would face an even less enviable job. The American East Coast is home to far more numerous large port facilities, giving the Russian invasion force a greater number of targets to pick from. Unfortunately, the American East Coast is also the most heavily defended, with several dozen major military installations spread out from north to south. The East Coast is also home to America's largest military shipyards, which would be so heavily protected it would be suicidal to attempt a landing or assault against them. Russia's best bet would be to attempt a landing in Mobile, Alabama or Houston, Texas. This, however, would mean Russian forces would have to spend more time out at sea and move into the Gulf of Mexico, where they would be surrounded on all sides but the south by major American air bases. For both our challengers, the tactical picture is not looking very good, as the United States simply has no viable landing sites for a major expeditionary force that couldn't be easily defended. China and Russia could opt to coerce or bribe Mexico or Canada into allowing them to land at their facilities and launch an invasion into the US itself. This would be by far the best strategic option for the invasion forces, but in response to the agreement between either nation and the Sino-Russian alliance, the United States would immediately begin a large-scale bombing campaign against port facilities in Canada or Mexico, with every viable port being within easy reach of American bombers. Even before the invasion force crossed the ocean, they would be sailing for ports that have been turned into rubble. Assuming that the US didn't use naval aviation, which it definitely would, the invaders could opt for using ports in South America, well out of reach of most American bombers, and then simply move north to invade through Mexico. Moving through South America's poor rail and road infrastructure, though, would be a nightmare for the invaders, allowing plenty of time for the US to simply move blocking forces through Mexico to Panama and then hold off the invasion there. If, miraculously, though the alliance did manage to land forces in Canada or Mexico, it would face a different tactical nightmare altogether. In Canada, the lack of suitable border crossings would force the invaders to spread out over a large area, or bottleneck and be subjected to endless attacks by American air power. In Mexico, military border crossings would be possible over a far larger area, but enemy forces would be moving through terrain that provided absolutely no cover. American air power would once more devastate any invaders trying to move through the flat terrain of the US-Mexico border. Geography alone provides the United States with near invulnerability from enemy invasion, but the logistics of the world's militaries proves why the US simply cannot be invaded. An invasion of the American homeland would rely on naval power to get the job done. And right off the bat, no nation on Earth, nor any combination of nations, has the firepower and logistical support needed to carry out such an invasion. The matter is one of historical necessity for the world. Ever since the end of the Second World War, all the world's major powers have had no need to project military power far from their own shores, except for the United States. The Soviet Union was chiefly concerned with securing its European borders, and in the case of a Third World War, its most vital strategic objectives could all be reached over land. The vitally important oil fields of the Middle East could all be taken via land routes through Afghanistan and Iran, and no navy was needed to hold off NATO forces in Europe. The same was true for Europe's NATO members. While once their mighty navies ruled the waves all over the world, their concerns in the 20th century quickly became resisting a possible Soviet invasion, and for that, no major naval power was needed. In the Atlantic, the Soviets hoped to slow the American response with the use of submarines, but ultimately knew that they could never stop the US Navy and thus never seriously tried. On the other side of the world, China struggles to turn itself into a first world power, and other than resentment towards Japan over its actions in World War II, China has had no real motivations to build a strong navy, at least until now. Much like the Soviet Union and Europe's NATO partners, though, China definitely had no real reason to build a heavy sea lift capability in order to move thousands of troops and heavy equipment across the ocean. On the other hand, the United States is both blessed and cursed by geography. While it's untouchable to invasion thanks to the Atlantic and the Pacific, it also means that in order to project power on the world stage, America has always needed a strong navy. This is the reason that the US has always had a very strong naval tradition, and why it has invested in naval and air transport more than any other nation on Earth. If US troops want to get somewhere, after all, they're certainly not walking there. To even get forces into the US, any invading army is going to need some serious sea lift capability, and no force on Earth comes even close to the US's 125-vessel Military Sea Lift Command, which operates a vast fleet of oilers, tankers, and heavy cargo transports. Yet, even this fleet is not enough according to some analysts, and plans are being called for that include dramatically increasing the capability of the US's military transport fleets. China has in recent years expanded its landing ship capabilities, with several dozen available to carry troops and heavy equipment. These ships, though, are not meant for global operations and are only designed for cross-strait invasions into Taiwan or to ferry supplies to China's illegal holdings in the artificial islands it built across the South China Sea. A crippling lack of support vessels such as oilers means that China cannot physically get its landing ships across the Pacific, though even if this problem were to be solved, the nation cannot hope to make a contested landing on foreign soil. Again, this is because of China's lack of need for a global expeditionary military force. China's chief military concerns lie with a military invasion and forced repatriation of Taiwan, and thus it has not invested money into developing a true blue water navy. Russia has even less naval transport capability and support vessels, which again is a result of its military objectives being close to home. To compound the two nations' sea lift problems, both nations have no dedicated amphibious assault ships capable of providing close air support and air superiority to landing forces on a contested beach. By comparison, the US operates 9 of these specialized vehicles, and they will soon be equipped with the F-35 stealth fighter. Projecting air power is in fact the biggest weakness for any nation hoping to invade the US, and China and Russia combined only operate 2 active-duty aircraft carriers of extremely limited capabilities. Russia's infamous Admiral Kuznetsov very publicly had to be towed back to a friendly port after experiencing severe mechanical problems. Without adequate air power, neither nation could expect to secure a foothold on the US mainland. America's air forces are twice as large as both nations combined, and its naval aviation alone is as large as Russia's total air power. If by some miracle either nation could get troops across the ocean to US shores, the lack of air power would reduce the attempted landings to a suicide mission. In the end, not only could the US protect from an invasion of the homeland, but it is currently and for the foreseeable future completely invulnerable to military invasion. Luckily, the US, China, and Russia have no desire to fight each other, and there exists no real reason to.
Attention all American cartel members. World War III is supposedly about to happen, and I say bring it. Iran can kiss my ass, Russia can kiss my ass, and all these other countries can kiss my ass. I am a 100% nationalist. Okay, USA all the way, and let me tell you why we're so freaking great. We're a country of mixed nationalities. If any country is gonna run this bitch, this whole fucking world, it's gonna be us. Okay? Us as in U.S. U.S. And the only thing that's gonna be close to being an ally is the USMCA, the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement. Really is just a way for us to rope in the western northern hemisphere, the North American side. Global dominance, people, all hail the Fuhrer, Donald Trump. And I don't want to hear anyone saying anything about Hitler or Germany. Fuck all that. Germany was a racist nationalist. Germany is full of Germans. Just like Braveheart, when they told him, you know, the problem with Scott is it's full of Scotlands or Scottish or something like that. Either way, what I'm trying to get at is the United States isn't full of white people. It isn't full of black people, African Americans, Mexican, or Africans, I should say, Mexicans. It is full of African Americans, which I prefer. I think we should start calling them American Africans and American Mexicans and American Europeans and American Germans and American, because America first. USA, people. I'm tired of people acting like we should be scared. We shouldn't be scared of anybody. We are the elite. No one would dare step to us. Russia is a paper tiger. Ask anybody that knows anything about military. These hypersonic missiles do not scare me. AI knows what's going on, and AI is going to protect everything and stop everything. Trust me when I tell you this. Donald Trump has the most smartest AI ever invented. Quantum computing is a national or a global thing, but the United States and the United States military obviously is the number one, and they have been utilizing it since, well, probably the beginning of time at this point, if you believe in time travel. To God be the glory, everybody. I just wanted to let that rant and rave out. So if you're afraid of Iran, or if you're afraid of Iraq, or if you're afraid of Russia, the only thing I fear is a civil war, because a war against my fellow Americans would be nuts. We're all crazy. A war against another country, when you unite the North and the South of the United States, you're gonna unite us? Are you crazy? It's kind of like that Tupac song. You done put two of the most gangsterest, craziest motherfuckers in the world in the same room at the same motherfucking time. Are you guys out your mind? I mean, we're gonna ride train on anybody. I'm for riding train on the whole motherfucking world. All right, might as well nationalists. We could be globalists. Come on, under the Fuhrer, Donald Trump. I am down to walk to the depths of hell with that man. He is God chosen. And you know how I know he's God chosen? Because the past proves the present and the future, or whatever you want to call it. He's ordained by God. As soon as something happens, no matter what, and it turns into the past, that means God allowed it to happen in all of his perfection, in his perfect plan. So for you to deny that, to say that Donald Trump was a mistake somehow, that God didn't want that to happen and it happened anyway, is blasphemy and blasphemous. How dare you, okay? God chose Obama to be the president for the 2 terms. God chose Bush. God allowed the towers to fall. If you believe in Satan and the devil, that's blasphemy. How dare you think anything can exist in defiance of God? God allows Satan to live. So if you're a Satanist, I don't have no problems with you, because understand you're living in a God's world, a universe, and everything in existence created by God. God created your little God, the devil, whatever you want to call him, or Jesus. I don't care who you believe in. To me, to God be the glory. To God goes all the glory. I believe in God. I don't care what anybody else believes in. I'm not going to judge you here in the United States as long as you're a U.S. citizen. And at this point, if you're here, you're on our side, because Mexico and Canada, we're gonna absorb them soon enough, and soon enough we're gonna absorb South America, and that's gonna be the whole Western Hemisphere, and then we're gonna come after Europe or China. We don't know yet, okay? But just understand, world, let this be a warning to you guys. We're coming after everybody. The NATO bullshit is done. Look for the USMCA to expand by adding countries to the United States, Mexico, Canada, and then blah, blah, blah. Whoever wants to sign up first gets the better deal. Talk to Donald Trump, our president, our leader, our CEO. He works for the United States of America citizen. To God be the glory, everybody. And as always, Please be sure to subscribe, and to God be the glory. Hey, if you stuck around to the end of this, congratulations. I usually sneak these Easter eggs in. Please subscribe, like, share, follow, all that good stuff, guys. I need subscribers. Feel free to share this and get it out, man. I really want no one to be afraid, no U.S. citizen to be afraid, because when push comes to shove, we unite, we get together, and we help each other out. We don't ask... as long as we're in the United States, we don't ask others that are in danger or being harmed, if, you know, are you Republican? Are you a Democrat? You know, do you believe that you're a U.S. citizen? If we can tell at the point, we're going to defend you no matter what. Even if you're a Muslim. I've seen a person on Facebook today putting something out saying that, oh, you know, my family's from Iran. My bosses are from Iran. That's right. My bosses own this whatever, and they're from Iran. They're really great people. Please don't judge people by their religion. And there was like 1,000 comments of pure MAGA, because, I mean, that's all my friends on Facebook, pure MAGA, you know, CAG, whatever you want to call it. Hundreds of them saying, you know, we don't care what you are. You're a U.S. citizen. You're one of us. As long as you don't try to infringe upon others. As long as we really don't care. You know, we accepted the LGBTQ community, and they just kept adding letters to it just to see, well, will this piss them off? Will this piss them off? And they had to go after our children, didn't they? They knew that would get us, and it sure freaking did. You know, it's hard. You know, I'm gonna walk away. Like I said, I voted for Obama, Hillary, Bush, believe it or not, his second term at least. So pretty bad stuff for me being, but I'm gonna walk away now though. So thank God for that. If you haven't walked away and you're a Democrat, listen to this. Walk away, please. I implore you. Trust me. I used to be one of you. I used to be a Dem with teeth. Dems with teeth, right? So to God be the glory, y'all.